How you doing? My name is Charlie Carter. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this little 1-minute video. Okay, so this video was inspired by the title sequence to one of my favorite TV shows called The Night Of. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend you get out, find it and hunt it down, whatever, because it's incredible. It's the same guys who wrote The Wire, which is everybody knows is pretty much the best thing ever made. And it has an incredible story, brilliant acting, the cinematography is just incredible. Anyway, and I love the title sequence. I'll put a link down to the description for the original title sequence. Anyway, I decided to go out and shoot it with the GH5, or shoot something like it with the GH5 and try and kind of find out how they got the look. So let's talk about the gear that I used to make this video. So obviously I used the GH5, which I'm filming on now, so you don't need to see that, and you all know what it looks like. For lenses, I used these Zeiss Contax lenses. I'll put all the details for all the gear down in the description. These Zeiss contact lenses are incredible in my opinion. I've got a set of them. I've got the 28mm f2.8 Discagon, which is on the camera at the minute. I've got this, let me change this. I've got this 50mm f1.7 planar, and I've also got the 85mm f2.8. What I love about these lenses is that I mean, they're fully manual, they're vintage-ish lenses. They have butter smooth focus rings. I just love manual focus with these lenses. They're so smooth and they just have a nice organic look to the image. They're just a lot less clinical than the modern digital lenses. I love these lenses. I'm never selling these lenses. I really would recommend these lenses to anybody. Hunt them down on eBay. You know, you can pick up the 50mm pretty cheap. I use all of these lenses on a Lens Turbo 2, which is like a cheap speed booster, but I've seen no effect with the image quality whatsoever. Obviously it's not electronic because these are not electronic lenses, so it's not important, so I don't need a Metabones. The other piece of kit that I used to make this video was this cheapo Coolertron slider, which I'll put a link to the description. It was about 70 quid when I bought it. It's probably even cheaper now. And then just like a screw-on quick release ball head adapter, so I could just change the angle quite quickly and get the frame in that I wanted. So that's all of the equipment that I used to make this video, nothing special. So now let's jump onto the computer and I'll show you some of the sort of photographs of the actual locations in the daytime and exactly how I graded this footage to get the look that you see in the finished film. So let's jump onto the computer and I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so this is my finished Premiere sequence and I've turned off all the grading. Now before I start on this, I went out and I did a few test shots, and what I realized, there was basically two things that I needed to get in each shot to basically help me get the look that I wanted. The first thing was to make sure I had some strong light sources in the scene, whether that be a street light or a headlight or whatever. And the second thing I needed was there to be some element of pitch black in the scene. So in this shot, you're obviously looking at the sky. The sky there is totally black. The reason for that is there's a really high contrast look to those titles, and you're only going to get that look if you've got a high contrast scene. So that when I crush down the blacks and bring up the highlights, it will give that pop to the image. So looking at this first shot here, you can see the same scene that's the same, basically it's just outside my building. That's the same location in the daytime. As I said, I always knew it was going to be black and white anyway, so even though I think the title sequence to the actual series is not actually black and white, there's some colour in there, but I didn't want to have that. So to achieve the black and white, I'm using one of my favourite plugins called Magic Bullet Film by Red Giant, and I've got an adjustment layer here, and I've chosen this Prolostia black and white negative stock and a Fujifilm print stock, and then so when I turn that on, there I get that sort of quite grainy, old school kind of black and white footage. But obviously this is nowhere near the finished article, so then I go into each clip. The first thing I'm doing is pulling down the blacks, quite a lot actually. The shadows as well, bring those right down. So now we're getting somewhere near to the image that you see in the finished film. I'll pop the highlights up a bit on that shot. In fact, I'm going to crush the blacks down even more. Now, this is no way that I would actually grade footage normally, you know, for like a normal film with characters and so on, actors or whatever. I would never ever grade this kind of dramatically, but this is the look that I wanted. This is the look in the video, and this is the kind of look that is in the original title. So I'm not too fussed. I'm not even looking at my scopes most of the time in this because I'm not really interested. I'm just interested in the look. In fact, I'll probably bring the shadows down a bit further. So there, that's pretty much a nice punchy image. So essentially, I don't really need to go into too much detail about this grading because I essentially did that for every shot. Yeah, so again, this one I've actually pulled down the highlights quite a bit. And I haven't pulled down the blacks all that much. So yeah, it was shot to shot. It was just basically getting it visually looking right. That location is this place here. So I've just got the camera on the slider right up against the metal fence to give me that sort of dramatic angle that you can see there. This location, this was really nice. This was a security light that I had to run over to make it turn on. But I needed that for that punch, like I say, that punch to the image, and that is here. That's what that looks like in the daytime. Yeah, so that location there. So look at the grading on that one. Yeah, so on that one I've really pulled the blacks down and the shadows, haven't boosted the highlights a massive amount on that. So it was shot to shot, but you know, in each shot there's light source and there's a lot of black. That shot in the daytime looks like that. It's quite nice here where I live. There's some interesting architecture and some quite funky kind of, eroded kind of buildings. So yeah, it just gives it a nice look. So essentially, I don't really need to go into too much detail on this grade. The black and white is achieved on an adjustment layer with Magic Bullet Film, which I absolutely love, especially when I'm working in colour. And then I just went dramatic on the blacks and highlights for each shot. That's the out of the camera shot, really flat. And then if I just undo that, that's where I ended up with it. So that's pretty much how I achieved the look. The slider shots, I'm just really careful with the slider. Most of the time I'm pushing it forward or sideways. If it's going to be reversed, I reverse it in post. It's just easier to do it that way. Nothing too difficult at all to get a really stylish looking video. I mean, there's nothing hard about it at all. It's just having the look in your mind that you want and figuring out how am I going to achieve it. So that's kind of how I approach all my projects. I get an idea for the look in my mind,
I look for references for that type of look, and then I work out how I'm going to get that look, either in the camera or how I can enhance it in post. That's how I approach all of my projects.
Alright guys, that's it for this tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you got something out of it. I've got new tutorials coming up, so if you want to see those, hit subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. Alright, cheers.